Joel and I work for Essex St Cheese, and I manage our education and marketing programs. I'm really excited to introduce to you the creamiest of Goudas from the L'amuse brand. It's called L'amuse Brabander Gouda, and it's a goat's milk Gouda from the Netherlands. In a country mostly dominated by cow's milk, goats have been slowly making their way up the popularity ladder, with people opting for sweeter flavors that can cater to a population with dietary restrictions. I want to share with you some really important information today about the Dutch landscape, unique features to this cheese's recipe, and then most importantly, the animal husbandry techniques that inspired us. So let's get started. The majority of the Netherlands is below sea level, and so in the 11th century, Dutch farmers started using windmills and dikes to drain delta swamps into nearby rivers, therefore exposing arable land for them to farm and pasture. Because of this, the soil varies widely across the country's 16,000 square miles, making certain areas better than others for crop and pasturing. Going to the southern region, Brabant, on the Belgian border, the soil is made of loam silt, which is fragile, so not great for large cattle to pasture. For this reason, goats are farmed here along with grass, corn, and alfalfa. The Saanen goat is commonly used in the Netherlands and the goat of choice for our Brabander goat Gouda. This breed is sensitive to the sun and so therefore kept mostly indoors, but fed feed enriched with minerals and salt to round out their diet. Many families have turned to being goat farmers since there is a demand both for their milk and meat as more immigrants from Asian countries come in and request beef dairy alternatives. Additionally, they find demand for the whey byproduct to make nutritious beverages for the local elderly population. Brabander is made in a cooperative creamery with families caring for their own goats, focusing on their and well-being to then result in the highest quality milk. This means that many adorable goat kids are born each spring and require care to make sure they grow into healthy milkers that can be used for the cheese at Amalfi. Many in the public have heard about allegedly inhumane practices of removing babies from their mothers. While in some extreme cases this is inhumane, it is important to realize that there could be extenuating circumstances that a farmer uses his knowledge to look out for the health of the mother and kid. As Steindergeitz, one of the goat farmers from Amalfi, they measure the mother's colostrum to determine thiamine levels. Thiamine is a B vitamin with many roles, but especially in glucose metabolism. The brain relies on glucose to perform the majority of its functions, which means thiamine is a critical vitamin for young kids' development. Symptoms of thiamine deficiency include partial to complete blindness, which can be difficult to reverse, but also cause other health complications if left untreated. Selecting milking ewes with higher colostrum levels for feeding new kids means healthier babies that become healthier adults with better milking outcomes. That is the epitome of humane animal treatment. Now, many think, yikes, I don't like goat cheese. The reason many feel that way is because of strong billy goat notes that linger and even inflame sinuses and such. Additionally, because goat's milk is lower in fat than other ruminants' milks, it has brighter, more acidic flavors that push through, highlighting tart, bright, grassy, and vegetal notes with heavy mineral undertones. This is especially true in younger cheeses with higher moisture content. However, there is a way to mitigate that billy goat note naturally through proper animal management. When the rams, male goats, are near the does, female goats, pheromone levels spike in the does and impact the flavor of her milk. By keeping the rams in separate buildings from the does, the dairy farmers for Brabander yield fresh, sweet, creamy milk with no vanilla and cooked sugar, with none of the intense acid notes. In fact, many people who do not like goat cheese find they had no idea that Brabander is goat because it's lacking that typical flavor. So now we have the milk. Let's make some cheese. There are 4 main ingredients to cheese: milk, rennet or coagulant, starter cultures, and salt. Starter cultures contribute to the flavor and texture of a cheese, or the personality, as I like to say. Starter cultures are made up of bacterium that convert lactose into lactic acid, known as acidification, which help to create the curds and whey along with the coagulant. The most common form of starter cultures in goat Gouda are known as the Helveticas, which contribute a very sweet pineapple flavor. Really salted caramel notes, which you are used to, make that cheese taste like candy. It's not a bad idea to match a starter culture to a cheese that is already on the sweeter side because of washing the curd. But what about the actual flavor in the milk? Is the Helveticas just a crutch for poor quality milk? Or is there a way to let the flavor shine through while still acidifying? The answer is with the mother starter culture, which is done by taking the evening milk and inoculating overnight with that day's whey and mesophilic starters to make a yogurt, harnessing all the delicious natural cultures existing in the milk to then use in the next day's make. The Amalfi Cooperatives uses this technique, which is why their goat Gouda has a balance of fresh cream, fudge, and a toothsome paste compared to intense salted caramel and flakier bite. So we found this goat Gouda that stands out from the crowd, made from the milk of animals that are well cared for. Does the attention to detail stop there? Absolutely not. Betty Koster is thrilled to work with producers like Brabander by going the extra mile to take on the affinage, or aging, of the cheese to mitigate costs to the producer. Additionally, this allows her to have say in the environment and techniques used, yielding her signature cheeses worthy of the L'amuse brand. The majority of opleggers, or affineurs, do not have the centuries-old tradition of aging cheese for long times in caves like those in Italy, France, and Switzerland do. In fact, the Dutch were the first to start applying coating to their cheeses since they needed to be able to withstand the inclement environments while being shipped around the world. Additionally, with limited land space in a small country, the investment of aging cheese for years, only to lose kilos of weight in the process, seemed incredibly cost prohibitive to the Dutch entrepreneurial mindset. So the majority of Gouda in the Netherlands is aged in massive walk-in coolers, kept at just above freezing temperatures with blowing air and a paracoat over the rind. The cheese only loses about 250 grams in 3 years and are low maintenance since there's no need to manage mold and turning the wheels that are weeping moisture. However, no microbial activity is happening in this stage, so flavor development is limited in an already handicapped cheese that is pasteurized. Betty knew that the true potential of this cheese could be harnessed if aged in the proper environment. Betty buys her 28-pound cheeses at 3 weeks from Amalthea and brings them to her own oplegger, who allows her to set the temperature and humidity to something more reminiscent of caves for Parmigiano Reggiano. Aged at 54 degrees Fahrenheit, these pasteurized cheeses are allowed to express decadent notes of vanilla, sweetened condensed milk, and tropical fruit with an irresistible texture that has microcrystals for crunch, but toothsome paste like your favorite fudge. While some other goat Goudas have more salted caramel notes with larger crystals, Betty aims for her Goudas to be something you keep coming back to. Pair it with fruity rosés or Caribbean rums or blonde ales for a refreshing afternoon delight. Have with your morning cup of matcha or chai lattes for smooth entrance to your day. Brabander is a blast for pairing, so have fun with your favorite preserves, candied nuts, charcuterie, and stone fruit. We even love it on a spinach white pizza with pears for a summertime special. This is the cheese that represents the labor of artisanal Dutch farmers, and the flavors reflect that. I really appreciate you taking the time to learn more about our L'amuse Brabander Goat Gouda. If you have any more questions, please do not hesitate to reach out at racheljewel@essexcheese.com.